It's a pleasure to meet you. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you. Lovely to meet you, Nick. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I was just literally a minute before I jumped on. I was thinking like, oh, I'm in like a very sort of melancholic, sentimental time in my life at the moment, and this movie was just balm for my soul. Like it was just such a lovely, wonderful experience. So thank you for making such a beautiful movie, and I'm glad it sort of hit me at this time in my life. It's truly beautiful, but I had me thinking about the fact that obviously there's almost been 20 years between the short film and this version of the film, and I'm curious to know what that 20 years has sort of done creatively for the film for yourself. What would this movie have looked like maybe 20 years ago compared to what we have seen with Ballad of Wallace Island this year?
Oh, that's such a great question. Yeah, I mean, look, I guess we were very young, and it was in our formative years that we made the short. And yeah, there was like a lot of hopefulness, but also a lot of naivety when we made the short, and it was born out of kind of our roots in sketch comedy, and so these two characters were created out of that sort of love of sketch, and so it was like an extended sketch, exploring a dynamic between an artist and their fan, super fan, and a kind of, and we were all fascinated with that. So that was the thing that kind of pulled the short together. But then, you live another 19 years and you start to realize that that's not as easy. Both either creatively, the creative journey of Herb as a musician, that's a difficult thing to navigate. And we explore that version of looking back at your kind of early years as an artist and then looking at your decisions you made that led you to where you are now and what it's like to feel like, oh, is this where I am now? Is this it? And then also just our lived experience and being able to look back, which is a lot of the film is about looking back and
Sure.
looking at loves lost and decisions you made in your relationships that you then look at and go, oh, that might not have been the best decision. So we all had to sort of have a lived experience to be able to look back, I guess.
Yeah.
And in a meta way, our experience of making the short film is something that stayed with us for 19 years and was a place we were desperate to get back to.
Yeah.
And we've all gone off in our different paths, just like Herb and Nell, and we'd all creatively gone off in our different paths.
Yeah.
And then we come back on the island and made this film together. It was kind of, yeah, it was very meta.
There's mess there. I'm sure there's some catharsis there as well, but there's
Oh,
also
incredibly
I
cathartic.
can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, because it become quite painful that we hadn't revisited the short together because we loved
Totally.
working together and we'd continued to have relationships with each other and creatively, but we just hadn't got to that place again. So to go all full circle and be able to make it, we were just incredibly grateful to be there making a film together after all that time. Yeah, it was becoming painful.
But I think we see that sort of catharsis on screen. I think that's where a lot of the beauty in the film also lies, and I think audiences pick that up. But there's also an incredibly interesting conversation during the dinner scene about commercial art versus creating the art that you care about. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the dialogue from that scene, and I'm curious to know how much, especially talking about the meta aspect of creating the film, how much of your own experience and talking with Tim and Tom about it's bringing those sorts of conversations you might have had throughout your own career into that sort of that moment of the film.
Yeah, look, it's absolutely that film. That's it. Actually, it's one of my favorite scenes in the film. I think because it speaks to my own creative journey. You
Yeah,
start off making something as pure as a short, and then opportunities come your way, and you, as an artist, you don't really know what to do with those opportunities, and there's a
sure,
lot
yeah.
of noise and people sort of pushing you in various directions, and of course. I've been so grateful. I'm so grateful that I've had an amazing career and made some great friends and relationships along the way. But I guess the thing that I've always worried about, or when we made the film, the thing that I was kind of looking back at is thinking, well, how many things have I made that I'd actually watch? And and
Right, yeah, yeah.
you become really good at what you're doing, and you become a professional at what you do, and you get better at what you do as a director. But the kind of your heart, or where your heart is, or where your taste is, that personal thing, I'd kind of lost sight of a little bit. So it was lovely to return to that, and I think Herb's in that space too. He's
Yeah.
like a little bit lost, and wondering how he's going to get back to something that's authentic. Uh,
Yeah,
and I think I felt that when I was making the film. It's like, how do you get back to that feeling
yeah.
of making something where it's just you're not thinking about the money or the bills or what's the next thing? It's just making the thing. And that's what
Was
was
that
important
sort of,
in the film.
was that rejuvenating for you? Was that, what was that feeling like when you finally got to do it and now it's in the world and we're experiencing it that way?
Yeah, I think it's the best feeling, isn't it? Because it is the thing that as an artist you're always looking for is just to be present and without any noise, just to be making something in a pure space, I guess. And that was something that I really wanted to enjoy and did enjoy about the making. And everything that's come afterwards, like the festivals and the
Awesome.
fact that an audience has responded wasn't something that was on any of our minds when we were making it. We were just making something with our friends, and that was something to remind ourselves, but also to think what it reminds you of as an artist is you're just meant to be where you are, where you're meant when you're meant to be there, if
That's
that makes
incredible.
sense.
No, no, that
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
Like without all that journey, I wouldn't have made this film. Without all the trials and the difficulty of getting to the film, I wouldn't have made the film that I made. So that's important to know, isn't it? As an
Yeah.
artist, you've got to live that journey
The journey,
to
yeah.
be there. Yeah, yeah,
It's wonderful, and like I said, I think we feel that authenticity on the screen. And you mentioned the fact that the dinner scene was one of your favorite scenes. It was one of my favorite scenes in the film as well. And there was a moment in it that I sort of use like I have like a litmus test, like would I show my nan in this movie? And I absolutely would because it's very wholesome and there's
yeah,
not a lot of vulgar language, I guess you say, but it really made me realize how insulting a good shut up can be. When someone just says shut up and it's kind of like cutting and with intent, I was like, oh, that strikes harder than any sort of other vulgar word that could have been used. So I'm
yeah.
curious to know whether whether that was on your mind as you were creating the film, as this sort of accessible film for everyone, but still not losing this real sort of human drama at the middle of it without having, people have to fly off the rails, I guess.
Yeah, it's that thing. I think we were just. I think all of us have a lot of heart and love for each other. So
Mm,
I sort of want to allow. I always come at it as director as like allowing Tom and Tim the space and Carrie and Michael or everyone involved in the film to kind of allow them the space to be their best selves on screen.
yeah.
And Tom and Tim we all share a very obviously similar sense of humor, but we tried some vulgar versions of that, and it was funnier to all of us that his only comeback was shut up.
Shut up.
It was such a for all the things that you could say, and we tried other things, but I think it proved to us that there's a sort of innocence to these characters and something that we all
Totally.
love. Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of it's sort of a little bit more fun to play with that rather than just go for the swear words.
Go for the jugular, so to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
James, I'm about to get wrapped here. I'd love to just squeeze in one more question. I just would love to know if for you as a fan of art and an artist, do you have a Maguire and Mortimer? Is there someone who sits up highly in your personal sort of pedestal that you would invite them to an island and just to even pick their brain for a bit? Is there someone who is up on that pedestal for you as an artist?
Oh well, there's a bunch of directors that I hope I get to meet, like current directors, or even if they're dead, can they be dead?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Oh well, Billy Wilder
Oh
probably
God, yes.
would be up there. But like even people are sort of slightly underrated, like who don't get the plaudits, like Ron Howard. I think he's exceptional.
Love Ron
David
Howard.
O. Russell, Alexander Payne. Sort of those guys, I guess. But music-wise, I'd love to reunite Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. But they're dead too, aren't they? One of them's dead, I think. But but yeah, there's loads. Yeah, of course, there's so
Yeah.
many creative people out there that I love and have inspired me.
That's incredible. James, like I said, that's my time. Unfortunately, I could talk to you for hours. I got hundreds of questions. Like I said, this movie was just hit me at the perfect time. I truly loved it. I can't wait to show people more
Oh,
of it as
thanks,
well.
man.
So,
Thanks for your support, and I love your collection. I don't know what it is,
oh, thank
music.
you. No, that's all Blu-rays and DVDs. I used to work at a
Oh,
Blockbuster,
wow.
and that's kind of where it started. And then now, yeah, I just
Oh, I
love
love
movies, man.
that.
I love movies. So,
I love that. It comes across, honestly. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your support as well.